Wow, I can't believe we're back talking about Premier League predictions, Dad.
I never thought this would happen, Theo. I've got the shirt on, I've got my brew,
Yeah, we
and
got our brews
I
going.
am ready.
Listen, when you've got a brew and it's blue skies in London, it's the best. But we aren't going to start in London, we're going to start in Wolves, aren't we?
No, we're not, Theo.
What?
We're going to start with the scores on the doors. This is why you ended this series. Because
see.
I'm 11 points ahead. Scores are on the doors right now.
How have you always beaten me? We took a break and you still beat me the last week, but we're so back. Everyone that slaps a little tip on, we are finally here to give you our crystal ball. We know the scores, and we begin with
Wolverhampton Wanderers against West Ham United, 17th against 16th. Theo, it's like it was yesterday that we did this. This would normally be a relegation scrap, but it's not really, is it?
They're the bottom two teams if you take out the championship fighters. Last time they played, it was El Sakiko, and I think Jarrod Bowen got the winner. There's not much to play for here. I think Wolves might win it because they're at home. Strand Larsen got a brace last week against Southampton, but that's one of the championship fighters. There's a massive Premier League difference between the top and the bottom, and I feel like these guys next season could be worrying.
Do you know what, Theo? Something mathematically very interesting happened. There is a 17-point gap in the table with only Wolves in it.
Wow. Oh,
because there's 9 points between 18th place and 17th. There's 8 points between 17th and 16th.
I think we need to sit down on a weekly ramble and run through what championship clubs should do to figure out how to get to a Premier League status and be able to maintain it, because teams have been struggling to do that. I'm going to sit on the fence and go for a 1-1 draw. I think a Bowen goal, but also something from Munetsi, the Zimbabwean midfielder. He's been recently very good for Wolves.
Do you know what, Theo? I'm just going to agree with you. A 1-1 draw. Arsenal against Fulham now is 2nd against 8th, and a very tasty London derby, Theo. Now, Arsenal only won one of the last 4 games. That was against Chelsea.
I thought you'd introduce it like Arsenal A against Arsenal B. Iwobi, Smith Rowe, Leno, Reece Nelson, the list goes on.
It does. Do you know what? This is going to be such a good game. I'm going.
What?
Say hello to Thogdad.
Thogdad is
I'm
going.
to be with this super tall guy.
You're going to announce it on predictions. Everyone's going to be looking for you, Thogdad.
Come along.
We're going to be in the clock
say
end.
hello. Don't scrap me. Just come
North
and say
Bank Ultras.
hello, Thogdad.
Right now, Mikel Moreno is making the difference. They beat Chelsea 1-0 the last time in the Premier League. He's been a striker. They turned him into a typical number 9.
Well, they're not going to win a Premier League this season, are they, Theo? They do need a striker. Everyone's talking about that.
Do you know who they
Fulham,
need?
though, Theo.
They need Russo. They need the Arsenal women's striker who scored 4 goals against Real Madrid. 2 of them disallowed, and actually one of them was unfairly disallowed. VAR should have checked that.
Yeah.
She can finish better than Havertz and Mikel Moreno combined, but I'm still going to back them to beat Fulham. The last 4 times they've played at the Emirates, these 2 teams, it's been both teams to score. A few tipsters out there, I know you love predictions. I'm going to go 2-1. Close game, always a tough match against Marco Silva. Loves to turn up. I can see Iwobi running the show a little bit, but in the end, I don't think there'll be anything from Saka. But Martinelli, we're waiting for something. We're waiting for something, and this game, it's going to be about him. He's going to score the winning goal.
Fulham, Theo, great win against Spurs. I think this is going to be close. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1.
We agree again.
Nottingham Forest against Manchester United now is 3rd against 13th. It's a team gunning for the Champions League against Man United. Now, at the start of the season, you'd think Man United 3rd, Forest 13th. What an amazing season for Forest. Now, at home, they've got the best defensive record.
They've actually got a great squad. You look at every position, they've got international players all around the pitch. Of course, Morgan Gibbs-White scored the winning goal at Old Trafford last time. He's been very vital, getting assists in the last few matches for Nottingham Forest before the international break. But the rest of the team, you've got Milenkovic at the back with Murillo, who plays internationally for Brazil at the moment. All around the pitch, you've got Jota at fullback. I think he's class up and down the pitch. In the midfield, combined, you've got Dominguez, who's brilliant. Chris Wood, you've got Alanga, who is playing against his old club, will be very hungry to get some points. Hudson-Odoi, who seems to be on fire at the moment. Every position is covered by quality. And under a manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, who brings the best out of them. So when we talk about top 4, it's not really a surprise to me. I put them as favourites into this game. Not just me, but the bookies do too. I can see both teams scoring, but Forest will win here 2-1.
Wow. Now, Chris Wood, we got to mention him again and again and again because he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League.
He got booked for taking selfies in international break.
Oh my goodness, how ridiculous is that?
The game's gone.
But this is a man who every season almost will get you 10 plus goals in the Premier League, and that is saying something. Man United, Theo, I think they're unbeaten in the last 4 games. They're on their day. They're getting better, aren't they?
They're getting better slowly. Bruno Fernandes is always at his best. This Man United team without Bruno is very, very bad. It's so mid-table, it's scary how much they've spent.
You're not a fan of, let's say, Garnacho, for example?
No, I'm not, to be honest.
Not, are you?
Very mid, very mid. Højlund, Garnacho.
Well, I told you, Højlund.
Yeah, you were right.
That.
You were
I
right.
said he's just never going to be good enough for Man United.
You don't get enough respect for your ball knowledge.
This match is gonna. It's one of those games that the bookies say Nottingham Forest will win, and for that reason, I think it's going to be very tight. And I think Man United might surprise. They might win this one against the odds, but I'm just going to go for a 1-1 draw. We're going different. A relegated Southampton against Crystal Palace is 20th against 12th. Now, I looked at the bottom 3 clubs, Theo. The last 15 games that they've been involved with, they've got 1 point. That is truly horrendous.
And now they're playing Crystal Palace, who've won their last 5 games, including a friendly against a Norwegian team, because there's been such a break. And Ismail Assar's on form. He scored in their last Premier League match. Eze's looking very good for England, who we saw score that 3rd goal against Latvia.
By the way, I love what he did there.
Yeah.
Eze came on and he does what Eze does.
I think Eze will be licking his lips this fixture.
Yes.
Because Southampton are done and dusted. The only interesting thing going on at their club is they've asked for 100 million for their 18-year-old winger called Tyler Dibbling.
Theo, they've not even got 10 points this season. But Crystal Palace, Theo, 4 wins in the last 5 Premier League games. Can they push for Europe?
Go for it. Go for it. Why not? In a very weird Premier League season where almost everything is done, it's nice to set yourself a target. There's still something to play for. I'm going to go 2-0.
I'm going to go low scoring here. Southampton 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Nice.
AFC Bournemouth against Ipswich Town now is 10th against 18th, and the Cherries will be absolutely licking their lips at this fixture.
Finally.
Surely a home win.
Since we last did predictions, Bournemouth were top 4, top 5.
Yes.
They have completely fallen away. They won the last couple games, but before that they won a lost streak.
There could be goals at this one, Theo, and Bournemouth, as you say, 1 point in the last 4 games. It slipped away a little bit. Ipswich, funny old team. They get the occasional good result, but that hasn't been recently. I'm going to go for a home win, 2-1.
What do you think about Dean Huijsen, Dad? He was on a podcast with Papa Pincus the other day.
I missed that.
Great to see another angle of a player, and always cool to see Premier League footballers collaborating with creators. But I think he'll keep a clean sheet. Dean will be happy. The new Spanish international, changed from the Dutch. They're going to win 2-0. Sorry to Ipswich fans, you're pretty much relegated.
Brighton and Hove Albion against Aston Villa, now 7th against 9th. This is a proper tasty, naughty game, isn't it? Theo? Because this is all about European places. Brighton are 2 points behind Chelsea in 4th. Could that happen? Brighton, 13 points in 5 games, pushing for the Champions League.
Brighton lately under Hazala had been brilliant.
Yes.
Win after win, making it difficult at the Etihad with that 2-2 draw, fighting back. The tactics are working. It's a very fit squad. Mitoma, Minter, João Pedro, Danny Welbeck pops up occasionally. It's brilliant. I think Brighton win this. Now, the reason I do, the last time they faced at the Amex, it was a 1-0, which would have been a 0-0 until a penalty happened in the 87th minute. João Pedro missed, but then tapped it home. And I think that will happen again. A low-scoring encounter. Unai Emery will not come away with any points. I'm very sorry. It'll be a 1-0 win to Brighton, and it will be Minter. Not Mini.
Do you know what, Theo? I bumped into an Iranian neighbour the other day, and he came up to me, he's a Villa fan, and he said, you know what, Morgan Rogers better than Jude Bellingham.
I'm not having that.
No.
Jude Bellingham, Dad, that's the best in England.
But if Villa win this, Theo, they go above Brighton.
Yeah.
I mean, the chase for Europe this year is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Let's see what happens. I think Brighton are getting 3 points here. What about you?
And I do just. I think you're right about the Champions League commitments, that they'll take their eye off the ball. 2-1 Brighton. Newcastle United against Brentford now is 6th against 11th. And I tell you what, Theo, recently Newcastle have been indifferent. Brentford have been really good.
Which is weird because Newcastle are celebrating their trophy. Returning to St James's Park with that Carabao Cup, a trophy after 70 years. So I think after that international break too, a bit of a pause, work on tactics. It's going to be a homecoming. It's going to be a party. And I think the Geordies will come away with a win here.
Do you know what? Early in the season, Brentford could not get a point at home, could they? There's some really tough fixtures early on.
Yeah.
Since then, they've travelled really, really well. I wouldn't write off their chances here.
Well, in the EFL Cup, which obviously Newcastle went on to win, they did beat them 3-1 at home at the end of 2024. So I'm going to go with a 2-goal difference again and say the Geordies get a 2-0 win. Isaac, unbelievable. Love the guy.
I reckon Brentford might take a surprise lead here. But overall, I'm going to go with the bookies and say a narrow Newcastle win.
Ooh, okay.
2-1. Manchester City against Leicester City is 5th against 19th, and this one should be very easy to predict there, because for Man City, it's all about breaking back into the top 4, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a tough fixture for them because they've just come off the back of a 2-2 draw with Brighton. City, it's a write-off this year. They're done, man. The players... look, the only thing I see here, it's an easy win because you're playing Leicester City at home.
Yeah.
You've got a manager that used to be a Man United legend, well, he still is a United legend, but coming to Etihad where it's a very difficult fixture. Leicester are losing game after game. They're not scoring as well. All of their last 5 matches are losses without scoring. City will be hungry to get that win. Marmoush, I think, could be licking his lips. Could be a potential hat-trick on the cards for Marmoush in this fixture. I'm calling it now.
I'm going to tell a little story about Ruud van Nistelrooy. Used to be our neighbour in Manchester. One day he was walking past the house with his partner, saw you kicking a football around. You were like 2 or 3 years old.
What?
And smiled at you. He's such a nice guy in person.
And then Roy Keane
smiled at you.
and grinned.
And then Roy Keane just walked bang without looking.
Is that true? Is that a true story?
Yeah. Roy Keane walked past our house every week.
I met Van Nistelrooy and I didn't vlog it.
Oh, you should have.
Well, I was about 4 years old, mate.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway.
I didn't even like football. Maybe he's the reason I got into football, but...
Leicester got battered by Man United. I mean, that's truly embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, this is going to be the Egyptian Kings' time to shine. 3-1 to Man City. What's your prediction?
It's going to be 3-1 to Man City.
We agree.
Liverpool against Everton, now first against 15th, but that doesn't matter. What matters is this is the Merseyside derby. One of the best games in football, really, Theo.
It was a great time at Goodison when Tarkowski, after a lot of Everton fans had left, scored that volley. I was watching it in Qatar on my hotel room, live BN Sports English. It went in, honestly, the bed sheets went everywhere. Do I think they're going to come away with any points in this game? Well, Everton are on a draw streak at the moment, but Liverpool will change that. They need to win here, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of bad press at the moment. Trent's going to Real Madrid. Van Dijk's going to PSG. Salah's going to get $1 million a week at Etihad. It's the end of the story. They have to win this fixture. They have to win the Premier League. They will win this fixture. 2-0, probably Salah, maybe a Trent free kick. But he will play. He won't get dropped. Slot will keep playing.
Do you know what? The Premier League without Mo Salah, he got 27 goals this season. He does that every season. The Premier League without him will be a different place.
Who's going to start taking top goal scorer? I mean, there was no one near him.
I'll tell you who's going to do it. Alexander Isak.
Ooh.
Okay, clip this. He can be the Premier League Golden Boot next year.
Let's
talk about Liverpool here.
Yeah.
They're 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. They've lost once all season. It wasn't home to Forest. They have been sensational. So let's just take, just take what they've done this season.
I say well done to Jurgen Klopp. You probably think, Theo, he's not been the manager for a year. The tactics haven't changed. What Arne Slot has done very well is maintaining what Jurgen Klopp put as bedrock. And that's what we've noticed, because when it mattered against PSG, when it mattered against Newcastle, he didn't have that extra plan B to turn it around in those finals, in those big games. But over a season, he's maintained that Jurgen Klopp tactic.
But anyway, Liverpool, well done. You're winning the title.
Yeah.
Everton drawn the last 4 games. This will be maybe closer than some people think, but I'm going to go with Liverpool 2-0.
Chiesa to score. I beg on Slot. Give him 90 minutes. Let him cook. Fede Chiesa, my boy. Remember the Juve game where we asked him the question, who's his favourite team in England? He said Liverpool. He made the move. I'm telling you, that he is the future of Liverpool, and he'll score in this game.
And last but not least, it's Chelsea against Tottenham Hotspur, 4th against 14th. Another really tasty London derby. Now, Chelsea, Theo, somehow they're in the top 4. Spurs lost 15 times this season. I mean,
crazy.
It's been weird, hasn't it?
Yeah, very bad form. I think they're all focused now on Europa League. I think Ange will keep his job if they keep winning and get that trophy in the bag, because they need something. This season, the Premier League has been awful. Chelsea hold a great record in this match. The last game at Tottenham's ground was a 4-3 win, and guess who scored the winner?
Go on.
It was a chip. It was a penalty. Who takes Chelsea's penalties?
That will be the man, the legend, Cole Palmer.
The fact you forgot about him is quite worrying.
Do you know what? We've been off.
Wait, actually, Dad,
we haven't done Premier League predictions for so long that I forgot.
What happened to Cole Palmer? That guy used to be clinical every week. He's been kind of falling off.
Chelsea are a funny one, because you look at the league table and you sort of think, how are Chelsea 4th? How are they in a Champions League position? Because you've got Liverpool and then you've got everybody else.
Yeah.
And they're all battling. It could be Brighton, Aston Villa.
I know Palmer's injured
Forest.
at the moment. I don't know if he's going to be back for this fixture. Obviously, didn't play for England. Even when he did play, there's been a few weeks he's just not been scoring the same way.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he does return for this fixture, which I don't know, let him be the story. But one man who's on form for internationals is Enzo Fernandez.
Yes.
Run the show against Brazil, 4-1 win, cooked them over 2 legs. I think it was 7-1 overall. Look, they smashed it. Enzo is the captain for club and country. He's running the show. He did it at River Plate, his old club. They love him there too. So I think Chelsea win this game at Bridge, 3-1.
Do you know what? That is a very good shout. I'm going to go slightly closer. 2-1 Chelsea.
There we go. Big things coming for Prem Predictions. Subscribe to Thogden 2 and the main channel. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week. And Champions League coming soon. See you in a bit. Bye.